सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओं. Now from Sloka number 20 to 29, Paramatma is giving various duties of jnani. He proposed that even jnani is supposed to do some work, karma, for the benefit of the entire world. Lokasangraham eva api sampasyan kartum arhasi, he said. So for the sake of the entire world, a jnani is supposed to do karma. So that was the theme. So we are continuing this. Now there is a difference between a jnani doing a work and an ajnani doing a work. An ajnani or a samsari does work for want of peace, for want of happiness, for want of security. Whereas a jnani does work out of peace, out of security, out of happiness. So that is the greatest difference between a jnani doing a work and an ajnani doing work. Now Paramatma is alerting a jnani not to confuse an ajnani regarding jnanam, not to create any confusion in the buddhi of an ajnani when he was performing a karma. Na buddhibhēdaṁ janayēt ajñānāṁ karmasaṅginām jōṣayētsarvakarmāṇi vidvānyuktaḥ samācaran. Vidvān karmasaṅginām ajñānāṁ buddhibhēdaṁ na janayēt. Kintu yukta samācaran sarvakarmāṇi jōṣayēt. So a person, on the contrary, he should not create any confusion. A jnani should not create any confusion or buddhibhēdaṁ in the minds of the ignorant people. On the contrary, he also should take up the work to give a proper direction. So he also should take up work in order to see that an ajnani is also engaged in the work. This is one important suggestion given by Krishna Paramatma, because every jnani, when he is enjoying that, the jnana nishtha, there will be a pressure inside, and he wants to educate the people at large to follow jnanam, take up jnana yoga. Whereas a person who is not prepared for jnana yogam, who is not sadhana chatushtaya sampanna, if we teach him the jnana yoga, it becomes only an academic exercise. It won't give him the proper result. On the contrary, it will confuse him. So we have to see to whom you are prescribing jnana yogam, to whom you are prescribing the karma yoga. In Mundakopanishad, we have a mantra saying that tadetat satyam mantreshu karmāṇi kavayo yānyapasyantāni tretājam bahudha santatani tānyācharadaniyatam satyakāmāha yeshavah pantā sukrutasya loke. Tadetat satyam, this is the truth and truth alone. What is the truth? Mantreshu karmāṇi kavayo yānyapasyan trettāni tretājam bahudha santatani. So may you take up the karma prescribed in the karma kanda. The Veda Purvam prescribes various types of rituals. So it says, according to your desire, you take up the karma and may you fulfill your desires. So tadetat satyam. Entire Veda Purvam is strewn over with karma kanda. Tani acharada niyatam satyakama. Hey, a desirous man, hey, desirous sadhaka, may you take up all the karmas prescribed in the Veda Purvam and get your desires fulfilled. Yeshava panta sukrutasya loke. This is the only way to go to the Swargadi lokam. By doing dharmacharanam, by doing Veda Vihita karmas, the karmas ordained by Veda, you get lot of punya. With your punyam, you will go to Sukrutasya loke. Eshava panta Sukrutasya loke. This is the path to the Sukruta lokas, to all punya lokas. So this is how the Veda Purvam is strongly suggesting karma. As per your desire, there is a ritual. In Taitriyam also, we have a prescription for Panchamahayajñas. You have to do Panchamahayajñas, Nitya Karmas. It says that Agnihotrancha Swadhyaya Pravachane Aditiyascha Swadhyaya Pravachane Manushancha Swadhyaya Pravachane Prajacha Swadhyaya Pravachane Prajanascha Swadhyaya Pravachane Prajatischa Swadhyaya Pravachane. Like this, the Vedam itself is prescribing about Panchamahayajñas and the Karma Kanda. On the other side, it also says that na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyage naike amrutatva manasu parenakam nihitam guhayam vibrachate yadyatayo vishanti. So it says that you will not get moksham by karma, you will not get moksham by your prajaya means by your family, by dhanam, tyagena eke, by renouncement only you will get amrutatvam manasu, you will get moksham. Renouncing what? Renouncing karma, renouncing upasana and entering into jnana yoga. So that is the only way, it says at a later stage, Kaivalyam. So one side it is praising the Grihasthasrama, on the other side it says you won't get moksham by wife, by money or by local accomplishments like that. No, it is discouraging all the karma. So how to understand this? It is simple. Veda is not talking two different types of values. Veda is prescribing at different stages for sadhaka different things. Like doctor, like a doctor prescribes a different prescriptions to different patients. He will not give the same medicine to all patients. The moment a patient comes to him, he will prescribe the test. You go and get this test done. So once the test is performed, based on the result of the test, the doctor prescribes some medicines. In some cases, he says, if you use this course of medicine, you can get relieved of your fever within 2-3 days. In some cases, he will say that this is the a diabetes you have, so you have to use this medicine lifelong. In some cases, if it is a terminal case, he will say there is no way of curing this, so you have to put up with it. So this way, a doctor prescribes a patient differently depending on the case. In the same way, Veda is also prescribing depending on the sadhaka. If the sadhaka is in the initial stage, it prescribes karma yoga, it advocates karma yoga and allows sadhaka to prepare himself, to cleanse his own antakaranas and get himself prepared for jnana yoga, so that he will become sadhana chatushtaya sampanna and get that refinement and readiness, and he will be prepared for jnana yoga. This is something like, a raw banana. If you see a raw banana, the peel is, very much stuck with the fruit. You cannot peel off easily in case of raw banana. When the banana is ripe, it is easy to peel. We have the mantram, Trayambakam mantram, Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityor mutshiyamamrutat. In that urvarukam, that cucumber, when it is ripe, it gets detached with the plant. Automatically it gets detached without any effort. In the same way, when a sadhaka is ripe enough, when he is matured, when he understands the swabhavam and swarupam of karma, then he can switch over to the jnana yoga. A small kid, he cries for balloons. He will be making a lot of ruckus for want of balloons. Supposing you give him 500 note and say that with this, take this 500 rupees. With this 500 rupees, you can purchase any number of balloons. He will not stop crying because he doesn't know the value of 500. By taking 500, he can in fact buy many balloons. But he doesn't know the value of 500. He continues to cry. In the same way, an ajnani doesn't know the value of jnanam. There's no point asking him to, stop karma yoga and switch over to jnana yoga, because he is not matured enough to accept and accommodate jnana yoga. Unfortunately, many sadhakas are like these kids who are after balloons. So, what Paramatma wants to say is, don't discourage them, encourage them. You also join them and do karma. As a jnani, you are not supposed to create any confusion in their mind. You have to allow them to do karma. So let them do karma. You also do karma along with the ajnanis, so that they are into proper karma. From kevala karma, let them convert into karma yogis. Dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. Paramatma declares in chapter 7 that he is the dharma aviruddha kamam. So he is the desire, a legitimate desire in all living beings. So you can take up any number of legitimate works, and for such ajnanis who are not prepared, who cannot understand the jnana yogam, a jnani is not supposed to create any kind of a confusion in the mind of ajnani. Now we'll proceed to sloka number 27. Prakrute kriyamāṇāni guṇaikarmāni sarvaśaḥ ahaṅkāravimūḍhātmā kartāhamiti manyatē. prakrutehe guṇaikarmāṇi sarvaśaḥ kriyamāṇāni ahaṅkāravimūḍhātmā aham karta iti manyatē. Now this Sloka 27 and 28 are very, very important. You get the essence of Upanishads in these two slokas. These slokas are important not only in this chapter, in the entire Gita, these two slokas are very important. Krishna Paramatma, Lord Krishna, differentiates the duties done by a jnani and ajnani. He clearly differentiates how a jnani does work and how an ajnani does work. In everyone, the self is present in two levels. One is higher level, that is the Chaitanyam, and one is lower level, that is the Jiva Bhavam or Ahaṅkāram. One is the higher level, higher self, which is called the Chaitanyam, Atma Tattvam. The second one is the Jivam, Jiva Bhavam or Ahaṅkāram, lower self. So, when it comes to Chaitanyam, we have the 5 capsules of Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam is not a part, not a property, not a product of the body. We have the body, mind, sense complex. Often we get confused between body, mind, sense complex and the consciousness, Chaitanya. First capsule or first property is Chaitanyam is not a part, not a property, not a product of the body, mind, sense complex. This body, mind, sense complex is called karya karana sanghatam, dehendriya manobuddhis. The second property is Chaitanyam is independent of the body, mind, sense complex, and it pervades the entire body, mind, sense complex and makes it sentient. The body, mind, sense complex, by its very component, by its very constituent, is jadam, is an inert assemblage. So, it cannot interact with the world on its own. So, this Chaitanyam is an independent entity which pervades this entire body, mind, sense complex and makes it sentient. The third one is Chaitanyam is not bounded, not limited by this body, mind, sense complex. Chaitanyam will not perish even if the body dies. The Chaitanyam continues even if the body falls or body dies, but it is not recognizable because there is no medium. For want of medium, it cannot be, felt. The same thing we told with light and hand. If you look at my hand, the light is falling on this hand. Now, if you compare with the light and the hand, the light is not a part, product or property of the hand. Light is independent of the hand. Even if the hand is not there, light is there. So, light is independent of the hand. It pervades the hand and reflects the hand. It enables the hand to be visible to all. Then the light is not limited by the hand. Light is there beyond the hand and it is not limited by the hand. Then if the hand is taken away, the light will not vanish. Light is still there, even if the hand is removed. So, the light will continue to exist when the hand is not there, but it is not visible because the medium is missing. The medium of reflection is missing. Therefore, the light is not visible. So, with this idea that the Chaitanyam is making this body, mind, sense complex enliven, or it is making this body, mind, sense complex work. So, Jnani knows that he is beyond Desham, Kalam and the Vastu. So, Desakala Aparichinnam is Brahma. Whereas ahaṅkāram or body, mind, sense complex is just opposite to this. It is limited to the body, limited to the time. It comes, it takes birth one time and falls at one time. So it is agamapai, whereas the Chaitanyam is eternal. It is not bounded by the time, not bounded by the space. So such Brahma is myself. That's what a Jnani recognizes. An Ajnani cannot understand this because he is very much attached to this body, mind, sense complex. So he cannot accommodate and understand the higher self. So he continues to be in the lower self and then undergoes all kinds of troubles and tribulations because he cannot get out of this samsara. So, for a body, mind, sense complex is jadam. The mind is a representative of body, mind, sense complex. This is also jadam. But because of Chaitanyam is reflecting in this jada vastu, mind is working because of the reflection of the Chaitanyam in the mind. So, you have a choice whether to stay with the lower self and get the troubles of this mundane world, or elevate yourself, transcend yourself to the higher self, that is the Sakshi Chaitanyam, and get that Anandam and be free from these troubles and tribulations. Be free from all the mundane troubles. Transcend, when we use the word transcend, it doesn't mean that you run away from this world. Being, transacting with this world, a Jnani can, transcend himself. He does the work as Ajnani also did a work. He is very much in this world, transacting with this world. Yet, in his mental plane, he is associated with the higher self. So, he enjoys the eternal bliss. So, this is compared to the Birbals solving a puzzle. Once Birbal was given a puzzle, he was given a straight line. Akbar asked him to shorten this without erasing. So what he did, he simply drew a bigger line just by the side of this line, so that in compared to that bigger line, this line becomes smaller. So in the same way, an Ajnani suffers with his samsara because he doesn't know how to tackle with this samsara. Whereas a Jnani can transcend without running away from this world. He can transcend this samsara by associating himself, by recognizing his own real self, by living in that reality. He can enjoy the anandam here and now. Now, all these karmas are prakriti gunas. Prakriti gunas means the body, mind, sense complex, it does work. It interacts with this vyavaharam. It interacts with this empirical world. Whatever the work we do is with the body, mind, sense complex. This body, mind, sense complex is prakriti gunam. Prakriti gunam means this is a product of maya. So, with this product of maya, you can do all karmas in this world. But you are different from this body, mind, sense complex. It is only a vehicle. With this vehicle, you are doing the karmas. That doesn't mean you are doing the work. So, the difference between the jnani and ajnani, a jnani thinks, I am doing ahaṅkāravimūḍhātmā iti manyatē. I am doing this work. So, I am enjoying, I am karta, I am bhokta, aham bhokta, aham karta iti manyatē. He thinks that he is the body, mind, sense complex, and then whatever the work that is happening in this empirical world, he takes up the ownership of that work. Kartāhamiti manyatē, aham karta iti manyatē. I am doing this. Because of me, it is happening. So that is what an ajnani thinks. Whereas a jnani thinks, it is the body, mind, sense complex which is doing this work. Whereas I as a sakshi, I as Chaitanyam is not having any work. I am not doing any work, though the work is taking place. As a Chaitanyam, as sakshi, I am not doing any work. Aham karta, aham na karta na bhokta asmi. I am not karta, I am not bhokta. Because I am not the body, mind, sense complex. This is what the difference between a jnani doing a work and ajnani doing work. A jnani does work without attachment to the body, mind, sense complex. Whereas an ajnani does work with attachment with the body, mind, sense complex. So what difference does it make when you are attached with body, mind, sense complex? When you think that you are the body, mind, sense complex, your work will fetch you the karma phala. So he will have karma phala abhimanam. He will be obsessed with karma phala abhimana. An ignorant person is always obsessed with karma phala abhimana. Whereas a jnani is not obsessed with the karma phala abhimana. 28th sloka. Tattvavittu mahābāhō guṇakarmavibhāgayōḥ guṇā guṇēṣu vartanta iti matvā na sajjatē. He mahābāhō guṇakarmavibhāgayōḥ tattvavittu guṇā guṇēṣu vartante iti matvā na sajjatē. Guna vibhaga and karma vibhaga. Guna vibhaga means gunam is this body, mind, sense complex, and karma is the karma swabhavam is that it is not belonging to the sakshi chaitanya. A body, mind, sense complex does work, so all the karma belongs to body, mind, sense complex, not to the sakshi chaitanyam. So that way a jnani, a tattvavit means who revels in the tattvam, who revels in that absolute reality, who understands the tattvam asi, aham brahma asmi, this kind of higher nature he is enjoying. So he doesn't a link with the body, mind, sense complex. He doesn't own up the body, mind, sense complex as himself. So he is not affected by the karma phala. All the karmas are prakriti gunas. Prakriti gunas means all are due to body, mind, sense complex. The prakriti gunam is nothing but body, mind, sense complex. So they are, due to this ahaṅkāram. Ahaṅkāram means lower self. Sarvaśaḥ, this ahaṅkāram alone does work, not atma. Ahaṅkāravimūḍhātmā. Ahaṅkāravimūḍhātmā means a deluded, ignorant person. He always thinks that I am doing this work. Because of me, this particular thing is happening. So if I am not there, it will not be complete. So he always identifies himself with body, mind, sense complex. Guṇēṣu vartante. Guṇēṣu vartante means this body, mind, sense complex will transact with the mundane world and does work. Whereas the Atma Chaitanyam is beyond this. Tattvavittu mahābāhō. One who understands this tattvam, one who revels in this jnanam, he really knows that the activity here is done by all kriyakalapam is done by the body, mind, sense complex, not by the Chaitanya. Not by the Chaitanya. Therefore, he doesn't own up that karma. Because as Atma Chaitanyam, as his real self, is not doing any karma. Akarta abhokta. So akarta abhokta means he is not doing any kind of work. There is a story of Durvasa Mahamuni and Lord Krishna. Gopikas were doing seva to Lord Krishna on the banks of Yamuna river. Krishna, through his Divya Shakti, found that Durvasa Muni is suffering with hunger and thirst on the other side of the Yamuna river. So he requested Gopikas to go with the food and drinks to the other side of the river and feed Durvasa Mahamuni. Gopikas went to the banks of Yamuna river and found that no boat was available to cross the river. So they approached Krishna Paramatma and reported the same. They said that it is not possible to cross the river. Paramatma said, if I am an askarita brahmachari, if I am an askarita brahmachari, may Yamuna give the way. Then again they went to the banks of the river. To their astonishment, they found that Yamuna gave the way to Gopikas. So they walked through Yamuna river and reached the other side of the Yamuna and fed Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni ate all the food to his belly full, and also had belching. Then he said, Vatapi Jeernam, and all that. And told Gopikas to return. When Gopikas came to the banks of the river, they found that there is no way. The river was flowing with fervor. So they approached Durvasa Mahamuni and explained the entire story. Then Durvasa Mahamuni said, he closed his eyes and said that if I had not eaten the food, may river Yamuna give you the way. Then when they approached the Yamuna river, they found that Yamuna gave the way for them to return to Krishna. So this is the story. So here, though they have performed their actions, performed their karmas, they were doing it as akarta abhokta. Because they were in union with Atma. Atma asangaha, Atma avyavahari. Therefore, as Atma, there is no karma. That is why, even though they did the work, they said that we are akarta abhokta. So this is the story. So the story here is, though Jnani does work, he is doing the work, tattvavittu mahābāhō, guṇakarmavibhāgayōḥ. They understand the gunas and karmas, the nature of the body, mind, sense complex, and the nature of the karma. They clearly understand. Guṇā guṇēṣu vartante. Only this body, mind, sense complex does work. Guṇā guṇēṣu vartanta iti matvā na sajjatē. So, having understood this way clearly, they are not so much clinged, they are not so much attached to the karmas. So this is the state of a jnani. Whereas an ajnani thinks differently. An ajnani thinks that he is doing the work and he is only performing the duty. So that way he is very much in the samsara and undergoing all kinds of difficulties. So this jnani, he performs duties unattached. Unattached means, so he is not obsessed with the karma phala. An ajnani also does work. An ajnani is having two sets of rules. One for himself, the second for others. See, in TTDQ, in Tirumala, Tirupati, people will be going for darshan of Lord Balaji. So, to see the darshan, he pushes, and ajnani pushes the people before him, because he wants to see him quickly. Whereas when it comes to his turn of seeing Lord, he doesn't want others to push him. The rules are different. So that way, an ajnani always, he does work with different rules. A jnani follows the rules of the game, the rules ordained by Veda, rules imposed by Ishvara, without any difficulty. Because he is always with union, is always in union with God. He doesn't find any difficulty in following the dharma. 29th sloka. Prakrute guṇasaṁmūḍhāḥ sajjantē guṇakarmasu tānakr tsnavidō mandān krishnavinna vichālayēt. Prakrutehe guṇasaṁmūḍhāḥ sajjantē guṇakarmasu. Prakrutehe guṇasaṁmūḍhāḥ guṇakarmasu sajjantē. One who is immersed with body, mind, sense complex cannot appreciate the Atma, cannot appreciate the higher self. He cannot have Atmanishta. He is always with the body, mind, sense complex. So he is so much engrossed with body, mind, sense complex. So his the entire life, it goes in decking up more of a, fulfilling the luxuries and keeping the body, mind, sense complex in luxuries and comforts. He cannot imagine that he is not body, mind, sense complex. He is very much body, mind, sense complex. So always he wants comforts and luxuries and pleasures of the sense organs. So all the life, the entire life, he pulls in that direction. Balastavatu kridasaktah, tarunastavatu tarnisaktah, vruddhastavatu chintasaktah, parame brahmani kopinasaktah. So balastavatu kridasaktah. Balastavatu kridasaktah means when he is a boy, he is fully engaged with games and the things which are, entertained. So he is busy playing. Tarunastavatu tarni saktah. When he is in youth, he is busy with watching the women and watching the all movies, then engaging himself in pleasures. Like that, tarunastavatu taruni saktah. Vruddhastavatu chinta saktah. At the fag end of the life, he is worried whether anybody would take care of him. So like that, so the entire life is wasted. The precious gift given by God is not used properly. So he totally spends the time in taking care of the body, mind, sense complex, in giving pleasures, giving luxuries, giving all kinds of fulfilling all the desires. Like a raw banana, you cannot peel. So he is so much attached to the body, mind, sense complex. It is very, very, very difficult for him to get out of this feeling of I am the body, mind, sense complex. If there is a small pimple, he is worried. If his hair is white, he is worried. If wrinkles come in the skin, if he sees wrinkles on the skin, he is worried. So that way, he is so much attached with the body, mind, sense complex. And he cannot imagine himself that he is not body, mind, sense complex. Like a raw banana is not easily removed. Tan mandan akrusnavidaha. For such a manda, for such an ignorant person, akrusnavit means he is not having a thorough knowledge, he is not having the jnanam. He cannot accommodate jnanam. For such a confused person, for such an ignorant person, a jnani, krishnavit, Krishnavit means the jnani, he cannot na vichalayet. Na vichalayet means he should not confuse him, he should not make him feel that he is that higher self. So if he tries to educate him, he cannot understand. On the contrary, he will say that the jnani is a fool. He will think that this jnani is a madcap, because a lot of pleasures are available for this body, mind, sense complex. The person is ignoring and saying that this is all mithya. So he considers the jnani as a madcap. So don't confuse him. You can at the most ask him to do karma legitimately. A jnani can direct him to do karmas legitimately. So this is what the topic is. For a jnani, the ahaṅkāram or the body, mind, sense complex is an alaṅkāram. It is something like a jewel. Like you see the Ishvara, he wears a serpent. The serpent is symbolic for karma. So for him it is alaṅkāram. For a jnani, a karma is alaṅkāram. Whereas for an ajnani, the karma is not an alaṅkāram. For an ajnani, the karma is, it's a part of the life. He does the karma for want of happiness, for want of peace, for want of security. Because he thinks that the peace, happiness and security is outside. Peace, happiness and security is outside. Now if you look at this, the entire portion, what Paramatma wants to say, an ajnani is not having that mental maturity. So he takes up work thinking that he is getting pleasure, he is getting security. So that way is more and more into the mundane things. He takes a lot of works in order to fetch, in order to get happiness, then peace and security. So a jnani should not confuse him, because however he wants to educate him, that ajnani cannot accommodate. On the contrary, he will be misguided. He cannot come to jnana yogam, nor he cannot leave karma. So that way he is deprived of both. So a jnani is not supposed to confuse an ajnani who is very much engrossed in the body, mind, sense complex. Whereas the jnani's outlook for the karma is guṇā guṇēṣu vartante. This body, mind, sense complex does work, because that is the very nature of this body, mind, sense complex. So this karma, how long you have to do? You have to do the karma till you get the chitta suddhi and chitta ekagrata and chitta vaisalyata. You have to do karma yogam until the time you become mature. Once you become mature, you need not keep on doing the work. You can grow out of it and then switch over to jnana yoga. This is the prescription given by Shastram. We have also mentioned an example, a baby in the mother's womb. A baby in the mother's womb is very much cozy and gets food and nourishment from the mother and grows in the womb for 9 months. After 9 months, a mother cannot accommodate the baby anymore. So the natural system, the nature itself will repel or will send the baby out of the womb. And the baby's growth must be outside the womb, not within the womb after 9 months. So that way, an ajnani, an ignorant person, must come out of the karma and enter into jnana yoga. But for some reason, for some mental immaturity, he continues with karma. He cannot accommodate. There will be majority of people who will not come to jnana yogam. They end up with karma only. So a jnani will feel a pity and he feels compassionate and he wants to change him. He can tell them, he can hint them, but he cannot persuade them and confuse them. That is what the Shastra says. Because his mind is not prepared. Suppose, imagine that Arjuna runs away from the war without taking up the war. Then what happens? He cannot continue in the sannyasam because his mind is not prepared. Only out of emotion he says, I don't want to fight. These are my swajanam. I don't want to kill them. I don't want to kill my grandfather who is revered. I don't want to kill my guru who is revered. So this is the nature of an ajnani. When your mind is not prepared, the sannyasam, the karma sannyasam is not prescribed. So a jnani will also do work along with ajnani and encourage him to do the work. So this is the theme, so that ajnani continues his work. It is like that, no? When a child joins the primary classes, he enjoys. In primary classes, there will be a lot of play and less of learning. So he enjoys. He sings all the rhymes and enjoys that education. And at the end of that academic year, he will be automatically promoted to the higher class. But the child doesn't want to get promoted. He is so much attached to the teacher and the class, so he cries. So at that stage, the teacher will not be happy and parents will not be happy. They will somehow ask him to push to the next higher class. In the same way, a person should not continue throughout his life in the karma yoga only. So without entering jnana yogam, if you keep on continuing with karma yoga only, your spiritual journey is incomplete. And a jnana yogam without karma yoga is impossible. Because you have to enter karma yoga and cleanse your antakaranas and be prepared. You must be refined and ready. Then only you can enter into jnana yoga. Otherwise, what happens? The entire jnana yogam becomes an academic pursuit. You will understand everything. Aham brahma asmi tattvamasi prajnanam brahma ayamatma brahma. All these mahavakyas you can explain. You can also convince people. But the benefit you should get out of this jnanam, you will not get. Because you have only taken up without processing your antahkaranas. So first and foremost thing is the importance of karma yoga. By doing karma yoga, you have to process your antahkaranas, cleanse your antahkaranas, get ready, and then approach a guru, do sravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam consistently for a long time, and then reap the benefits of jnana yoga. On the contrary, if a jnani, one who enjoys these fruits of jnanam, who revels in this anandam, if he thinks that the entire world must change to jnana yoga, must be in the jnana nishtha, that is not correct. So, na buddhibhēdaṁ janayēt. Paramatma wants a jnani not to create confusion in the mind of an ajnani. Because ajnani is not prepared for jnana. If he is not prepared and if he switches over to jnana yogam, what happens? He cannot accommodate the jnanam nor jnana nishtha. On the other side, he left karma yogam and he is not doing karma yogam. So that way he is the loser of both. Loser of karma yogam, loser of jnana yogam. Because he cannot reap the profits of jnana yogam. He cannot get the benefits of karma yogam. So, in this entire topic, 20 to 29, Paramatma wants to say that even a jnani has work. Jnani does work out of peace, out of happiness and out of security. And he does work for lokasangraham, for the benefit of the lokam, for the benefit of the society. A jnani takes up work. Unattached means without any obsession for karma phala. Whereas an ajnani does work with obsession of karma phala, because he is very much attached with the body, mind, sense complex. He is always with the lower self. So he is having that obsession of karma phala. So he lingers in the samsara and is affected by the troubles and tribulation of the samsara. So this is the 20 to 29 theme, and we will enter into a new topic which we will learn in the next class. So from 30 to 35, Paramatma is giving the importance of karma yogam. What is the benefit of karma yogam? What is the importance? So that he is highlighting from sloka number 30 up to 35. So we will learn that in the next class. With this, I will close today's session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnascha Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.